You're 16, kneeling on a cracked driveway, clicking a $25 Harbor Freight torque wrench onto a lug nut on your mom's Civic. It's the cheapest tool in the garage, and it's the only one that talks back. 2 decades later, a company built by people who started exactly like this, on driveways just like yours, sells for $1.2 billion in cash. Between those 2 clicks stands a machine 300 feet tall, spinning in an open field, and somebody has to climb it to keep it turning. There's no elevator for most of the people who do. Just a steel ladder, a harness, and the wind pushing on your back. This is every level of a wind turbine technician's career in America, and what it actually costs to climb. Level 1. The Backyard Climber. You are a teenager, with a driveway and a Saturday and nothing scheduled. The car sits crooked at the curb with one soft tire. You chock the wheel, break the lugs, jack the car, pull the wheel. The sequence your uncle showed you exactly once. You seat the spare. Run the nuts hand tight, lower the jack, and torque in a star pattern until the wrench clicks. That click is the whole job, the one signal you actually trust. $25 of Harbor Freight steel is telling you the bolt is right. You wipe brake dust off on your jeans without thinking about it. You put the wrench back in its plastic case like it matters. Because it does, and you already know that. Later that month, you drag the extension ladder out of the garage. You lean it against the gutter and shake it once to test the feet. The aluminum flexes under your foot on the 3rd rung, and you keep going anyway. You clear the gutter by hand, you come back down, and nobody claps for you. Your dad checks the roofline from the lawn and nods once. That single nod is the whole paycheck at this level. You wrench on a dirt bike in the garage that will not idle. You watch DeWalt and Milwaukee tool videos on the phone late at night. You keep watching until the algorithm knows your hands better than your counselor ever did. You belay a friend at the climbing gym and hold the rope steady. You notice you are the one in the room who does not look down. You help reshingle a neighbor's shed all weekend for gas money. The folded cash goes into your pocket, still warm from his hand. You stop asking to borrow tools, and you start buying your own, one wrench at a time, off the dented clearance rack. Some kids freeze 4 rungs up a ladder and simply cannot make themselves move. That is fine, and that is also the end of this story for them. You do not freeze up, and when it becomes your turn, you climb. The ladder sways, the wind pushes, and something in you goes quiet instead of loud. Then it is just work again, one more ordinary thing to finish before dark. There is a version of this where the ladder is 300 feet tall. Somebody up there pays you good money just to climb it every single morning. You start looking up more than you look down. Ready for level 2? Level 2. The Trainee. You sign up for a wind energy program. A 1-year certificate runs about $6,000 at a school like TSTC in Texas. And the GWO basic safety training that stacks on top is a 40-hour 5-module course. That is the entire toll booth. Cheaper than 1 semester at a state university. First morning, an instructor hands you a Petzl Volt wind harness, and it smells like new webbing and rubber floor mats. You buddy check the buckles. You clip a self-retracting lifeline to the rail of a 27-foot training tower and climb. Your forearms burn by the top, and the instructor times you anyway. Then comes the drill that matters. Your partner plays dead in his harness, and you rig the descent kit and lower him to the mat while the clock runs. You do it wrong once. The rope pinches, the instructor stops the drill, and you re-rig it from the top. The second run is clean, and she signs the sheet without a word. You learn lockout tagout, hanging a red tag that says danger. Do not operate on a breaker so nobody energizes the machine you are inside of. You learn that the OSHA ladder rule and the ANSI fall arrest standard are the 2 documents standing between you and a 300-foot mistake. You strip and torque bolts on a bench nacelle. You read schematics until the lines stop looking like spaghetti. You put a Fluke multimeter on a live training circuit and call the reading out loud, and the instructor does not correct you. You get a Winda ID, a number in a global database that says you are certified to be up there. A student in the same program put it plainly. It gives her comfort knowing she could have a high-paying job after she graduates. Then comes the real tower. You clip in at the bottom and climb past the point where the training tower ended, and keep climbing. You stop rehearsing the buckle check out loud. Your hands just do it. At the top hatch, the wind is a physical thing, and the cert card in your pocket is the first proof you belong in it. The card gets you an interview. The interview gets you a sight. Level 3 is where they find out if the card was telling the truth. Level 3. The Site Tech. Your first field job pays around $25.41 an hour, and you'd have done it for less. The day starts before dawn with a safety brief in a trailer that smells like coffee and gear oil. You get your tower assignments off the whiteboard, you hang your lockout tag on the disconnect, and you climb. 300 feet, rung by rung, with a climb assist taking some of the weight and your legs taking the rest. The tower sways under you, a slow roll like a boat, and the first week it unsettles you. Then it doesn't. Inside the nacelle, it is grease guns and torque spec sheets and the smell of hot steel. You grease the main bearing until it takes. You hit each of the yaw drives. You work fresh grease into the pitch bearings. You swap the oil filters out. You pull the carbon brushes and check the wear line against the mark. You set the hydraulic torque wrench on the tower bolts and work the pattern in order. And you sign the sheet for every single bolt you touch. Your signature on a torque sheet means something now. It is the same click you learned on your mom's Civic, scaled up by a factor you do not bother calculating. You learn to read the machine before the laptop does. A gearbox whine that is a half-tone off. An ozone smell near the converter cabinet that was not there last month. A Navy veteran runs this exact job at the Wake Wind Energy Center out in Texas, hired the day he left the military, troubleshooting faults tower by tower. That is the shape of the trade. It takes people who show up and climb. Then comes your fault. A converter trips on a Friday afternoon, and the senior tech is 2 towers away. You pull the code off the screen, you trace the schematic across the page, you put the fluke on the circuit, and you clear it wrong. The turbine faults again before you are even off the ladder. The senior tech climbs your tower, finds the loose sensor connector behind the panel you never opened, and says nothing on the whole way down. Monday morning, you open that panel first. 2 weeks later, the same fault code shows on a different machine, and you call the fix over the radio before the senior tech finishes asking. He keys the mic once, copy, and that one click is a promotion nobody files paperwork for. You document every step in SCADA, because up here the paperwork is the safety system. Here is the math that keeps you honest. The machine you are standing inside earns about $3,520 a day when it spins. Your day costs a fraction of that. The company knows it, and so do you, which is exactly why the good diagnosticians get pulled up the ladder. And so you wait. The next call that comes is not a fault code. It is a recruiter asking if you will travel and what you know about blades. Level 4. The Traveling Blade Tech. You take the travel job, and the road becomes your address. Iowa, then Kansas, then Minnesota, then Texas. A duffel bag, a rope kit, and a per diem card in the console. The median tech makes $30.09 an hour, and the traveling blade specialist makes more than that, plus the per diem, because almost nobody wants this life and even fewer can actually do the work. The work is simple to say and hard to do. You rig your ropes off the nacelle, swing your boots over the edge, and rappel down the smooth face of a blade with a grinder clipped to your harness. A drone flew the blade yesterday and flagged the leading edge erosion. Now you hang right next to it, 200 feet of open air under your boots, and grind the damage back to clean laminate. Fiberglass dust gets into everything you own. You mix the epoxy, lay the composite, ferret smooth, and shoot the quality photos with cold fingers. The wind spins you slowly on the rope while it cures. Here's why they pay for it. A brand new blade costs about $200,000. Your rope access repair costs about $30,000. And the crane they would otherwise mobilize runs roughly $350,000 a week. So the person hanging on the rope with a grinder is the cheapest thing on the whole invoice. A traveling tech who founded a network of tower climbers describes the office better than any brochure. There's a slow, steady wind, he says, and the tower moves back and forth, like a boat out on the ocean. One repair makes your name. An engineer calls a blade scrap, the damage too deep, and tells you to replace it. You descend, grind it out, scarf the layup wider than the book allows, and cure it under a heat blanket overnight. The blade passes the lightning continuity test in the morning, and the site manager shakes your hand like you handed him a check. Because you did. You stop unpacking your duffel between assignments. Commissioning work fills the gaps, standing up brand new turbines, torquing them to life for the very first time. The road is the price of the craft, and you're paying it on purpose. Then a site calls you with a different question. Not can you climb, can you run the people who do? Level 5 is next. Level 5. The lead. You come off the road and you take a site of your own. Lead and supervisor roles top out around $85,570 a year in the best-paying states, Pennsylvania, per the Federal Wage Survey, and the raise is the smallest part of what changed. You run the morning brief now. You assign the towers. You set the day. Your name is on the site's lockout program and the rescue plan, which means every tag on every breaker traces back to you. You sign the twerk sheets other people fill out, and you spot the pencil-whipped ones from clear across the trailer. You coordinate the big lifts. A gearbox swap means a crane on site, a detentioned drivetrain, and a component the size of a delivery van hanging over your crew. Plan, mobilize, isolate, lift, set, torque, commission, return to service. You run that sequence in your sleep now. This is the level where the hidden game finally shows itself. Your safety record is the currency. The Federal Injury Survey logs about 164.2 serious injury cases per 10,000 workers in this line of work. Your site's number is what gets you promoted, or gets you walked out the gate. A 10-year tech-turned-safety coordinator at a pair of Iowa wind farms says the senior skill out loud. You really use all 5 senses, he says, and you could walk in and hear something that just sounds off. The test comes in February. An ice storm, a faulted turbine, and a young tech mid-tower when the weather turns early. You make the call over the radio. Abandon the task, descend now, leave the tools. The fault waits 3 days. Every one of your people drives home that night. The turbine's owner never hears a word about it, and that's the whole point. You stop counting your own climbs. You start counting theirs. You mentor the new techs the way the quiet senior tech once mentored you, one opened panel at a time. Then a contractor's business card lands on your desk, and you notice the margin they're charging for your crew's labor. Somebody owns this work. Level 6 is where you find out it could be you. Level 6. The owner. You leave the operator, and you hang out your own shingle, an independent service provider bidding on the maintenance contracts you use to execute. 2 techs and a pickup at first. Then rope access crews, a blade division, and a training room in a rented warehouse. You're not selling hours anymore. You're selling uptime, and the contracts renew themselves. This path has a documented ceiling, and it isn't a salary. In November of 2025, CBRE bought Pierce Services, the largest independent renewables service provider in the country, for about $1.2 billion in cash, with an earnout worth up to $115 million on top. Pierce was projecting revenue of over $660 million for the following year, a field service company, trucks, ropes, torque wrenches, and contracts. The technology side of the trade pays too. SkySpecs, the drone inspection firm out of Michigan, raised an $80.2 million round led by Goldman Sachs to automate the blade inspections you used to do on a rope. And the founder arc is real at human scale. A rope access blade repair outfit started in Santa Cruz back in 2001. 2 climbers and an idea, and years later a Danish operator acquired it outright. You build toward the same door. You bid, you win, and you hire the people who climb. Private equity starts calling, and you learn to let it ring twice. Then one day the term sheet is sitting on your desk, and the number on it is denominated in a unit you never once earned per hour. You read every clause the way you used to read a torque sheet. Then you sign it. The same hands. That's the top of the ladder. The final beat is what you see from it. Here's the twist the driveway never told you. The machine was never the hard part. The height was never the hard part. The hard part was that almost nobody shows up for it. The federal projections say this job grows 49.9% over the next decade, the fastest of any occupation they track. A Department of Energy workforce study puts the shortfall at 124,000 workers by 2030. The industry is a 300-foot ladder with open rungs on every level, and the country still can't find enough people willing to climb it. You did. You climbed it when it paid in nods from the foreman, and you climbed it when it paid in billions of dollars of other people's exits, and eventually, it paid you too. You don't climb much anymore. You could. The harness still fits, and once a year you clip in and take a tower slow, just to keep the feel of it honest. The wind up there still sounds the way it did at the start. Your knees remind you of the travel years now, and you would sign up for every one of them again. The company runs without you ever touching a wrench. The techs you trained now train the techs. You sign the paychecks now, and you answer the phone when a tower goes quiet. In your training bay, a kid who was on his mom's roof last summer torques a bench bolt to spec with a $25 Harbor Freight clicker because that is the wrench you stock. Every new hire gets one on day one. Same wrench, same click. On the shelf behind your desk sits yours, the original one, brake dust still in the knurling, mounted on a small wooden stand your daughter made. The lug nuts it torqued once belonged to a Civic. The company it started ended up selling for real money. The kid in the bay finishes the bolt pattern, and the wrench clicks, and he looks up at you. You hand him his harness. It's got his name on it.